Hey you, this is Intimidating Scones. Yeah, hi. Okay, so this is one take, one shot, no video editing, no color correction, no cutting out all the blank space, the silence, no cutting out the bits I don't want you to hear, no. This is completely straight and completely scarily unrehearsed and unscripted and just full of truth and honesty, and really hard to do. So the thing that I'm talking about is the thing that I felt like I had to do with a camera and my face and straight to it, which I can't seem to spit out right now. I'm not even going to tell the full story. It doesn't need to be told. I just need to tell part of it. That those of you that have been watching so far, any video before this, and hopefully those of you that came in far after this, because I hope that in the future I continue to make videos talking about my writing, because that's what I want to do. I want to write and I want to talk about my writing and why that's important and what I'm trying to say with that, rather than talking constantly about my suffering. And you know, the thing about post-traumatic stress is that people react so drastically to it, and so drastically according to what kind you have. I guess not what kind, but what caused it, because it's strangely, despite the causes, it seems to be very similar. Anyway, but it seems like if it's caused by war, people tend to be sad for you and careful with you, as if you're fragile. But they do tend to be respectful of you. At least that's been the experience that I've seen, the way people talk about war-induced post-traumatic stress. And I've heard someone talk about post-traumatic stress caused by a car accident, and how terrified they were. But when you get in a car accident, people, their first response is always, "Are you okay?" So there tends to be a lot of concern, a lot of, making sure, hey, you're okay, right? Is there anything you need? Did you get injured? Do you have any residual injury? And I've also talked to someone whose husband was in a fire, and the way she talked about his post-traumatic stress was very, very comforting. The idea that he needs to have that comfort, and that she's there for him when he has the nightmares, when he has the flashbacks. It sounded like she was very, very open and comforting about when he gets triggered, and when his mind is causing him to suffer the same trauma over again. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they do, and that's why they, there's a thought. Maybe they realize that, and that's why they're so mean about it. But post-traumatic stress, one of the key factors of it is you relive your trauma, whether it be in your nightmares or your brain saying this situation is the same situation that you were in. That's That's a trigger. And it could be something completely silly. I guess silly is a mean word for it, but it could be something completely benign that triggers you. I know I call myself intimidating scones, and here I am drinking coffee instead of tea. I'm a terrible person. But it's really good coffee. So, I told one person that I was going to do this video before I did it. And I regret telling that person because her first response to me was, "But you're not going to use your name, right?" And I understand that the reason she said that was not because she felt like I ought to be ashamed of what happened to me, but because she was scared of people's reactions, because I don't have that kind of PTSD. Those were not my experiences. My experience was something different, something actually very common, very scary. And people react very badly to me because of it. And she thought that someone will see this video and try to hurt me because of it. Because that's what happens with this kind of post-traumatic stress. This kind of victim. I hate to use that word because I don't consider myself a victim. That's everyone else's word for me. That's everyone else's word for what this is. I consider myself a person. That one's too drastic, you know? Gee, a person. Yeah, I'm bitter. Shut up. But the other one was her fear of people who know me and don't know this about me watching the video and then not liking me anymore because of it. And that is also a valid fear because that has happened a lot to me. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's the truth. And she was worried about, say, my boss finding out. And it just made me think. It made me think of a coming out video. Of how that's got to be the same fears people had when coming out, and that so many brave people have gotten on camera and said, yeah, this is a fact about me, and I'm not ashamed of it. And so I told her at the time, no, I won't use my real name. I'm known around as Intimidating Scones. And to be honest, my real name's not going to mean anything to any of you. But I decided to do her one up. Use my face. Here I am. Plain and simple. This is me. And 7 years ago, 7 years and about 7 months ago, I was raped. I think from what I've written and what I've talked about and how I've alluded to my own trauma, my own struggles with it, that probably won't come as a big surprise to many people, but there, it's out there, it's said. Nobody asks me, are you okay? In fact, I remember one of the most aggravating things that happened was when I told the police, when I made the police report. the person that went there with me to be a support for that, the officer turned to him and asked him, "Are you okay?" And I guess it goes without saying that of course I wasn't okay. But it's been 7 years. And yes, it takes a long time. Not everyone gets post-traumatic stress from the same experience. A experience that may be traumatizing to one person, it may be, okay, let's say the same experience that is traumatizing to two people, one person may develop post-traumatic stress and one person may not. From what I've read, everyone develops some amount of post-traumatic stress, but some of it goes away very, very quickly, within a couple months. But on average, for those people that it doesn't go away quickly, the average becomes about 5 years. And people were just horrible to me afterwards. And I think that's why, for me, it took longer than average. I took 7 years. That's my number. It's like, it's almost like, going up in front of people and being like, it's been 7 years since my last drink. It's been 7 years since I last felt human. I had a lot emotionally taken away from me, and I think that's the most terrifying part of it for everyone. It's not just this idea that it can happen to anyone. It can happen to you, and it can happen to someone you love. And that people want to blame the victim and say, there's something wrong with you. That's why I'm safe, and that's why my mom is safe, and that's why my sister is safe, and that's why everyone I love is safe. There's something wrong with you. And that's wrong. It's just, I've had that done to me so much. There's nothing wrong with me. I did nothing wrong. In fact, I did a lot to stop it. And a lot to protect myself. And society really stacks the cards against women with that. Stacks the cards against everyone with that. Not only are women encouraged to want boys to want them, and want boys to be very aggressive towards, I'm going to kiss you now, and I'm going to do all of that because that's romantic. Which, thank God there's a move towards consent, even for kissing, even for everything, because god damn it, you're not even supposed to hug someone. There's a personal bubble. Respect the bubble. But yeah, ask permission to hug, because some people do not like hugs. And you're gonna have to figure out how to make that romantic, because it's possible. It may take some thought, it may take some effort, but it's better than being a rapist. It's better than doing this to a person. You don't want to be responsible for that. Society told me that nobody can do anything to me that I didn't want them to. That is sadly a lie. And if you've been told that, be careful. Because there are ways to protect yourself against the mindset that you are always protected because you always have the ability to say no. People can take that ability away from you, whether that be with drugs, with alcohol, or with mind games. That's how it happened to me. I told this guy, no, get away from me, for a very long time, until eventually he found a way. And he did it without drugs and without alcohol. I didn't drink at that age. And I think that's also what terrifies people. That it was my best friend. It was someone I had known for, geez, how long did I know him? It was around 9 or 10 months. Less than a year, but enough that you know someone, or you think you do. I moved very far away from home because I wanted to see more of the world. Very far. I moved from one part of the US to another, and 600 miles to some people is, oh my god, that's so far, and some people that's like, psh, dork. My sister went all the way to the East Coast. I didn't go that far, but of course when I moved that far, I tried to stay in contact with some of my high school friends, etc. You know how it goes, but it's all long distance. You make new friends where you go. And I think that's one of the terrifying things about it for people, is that this guy was my friend. I trusted him. And he was able to play games, play mind games, deal under the table, do all sorts of shady stuff without anyone ever noticing, without me ever noticing the changes that he was making to my own thought process, until I didn't know what was up, down, left, or right. I was confused, and I'd push him away, and he'd go back to being nice for a while, and then, slowly, he would tiptoe over that line. And he spent months playing these mind games with me telling him, no, I have a boyfriend, I do not like you. We can hang out. And then he'd be like, okay, yeah, that sounds good, I'll settle for that. Friends are nice. And I thought he meant it. I think he thought he meant it. And I think that's why nobody wants to accept it. Why nobody wants to hear that this shit doesn't just happen in the dark alleys. You can't protect yourself by not getting drunk at the party. I mean, well, you can. If you don't get drunk at the party, there's that situation that you don't have to worry about, but I wasn't walking home at night when it happened. I was at home. This happened in my own bedroom. I wasn't drunk. I sure as hell wasn't drugged. I wasn't with a stranger. I wasn't with someone I didn't trust. I was just with someone who wasn't trustworthy. I didn't do anything wrong, but people really, really want to believe that I did. If I had been caught in a fire, if I had gotten into a car accident, if I had gone to war and defended my country, I'm sure it still would have been bad. I don't want to belittle those kinds of post-traumatic stress. But that's why I'm not ashamed to show my face, and I'm not ashamed to tell my story, and I'm not ashamed to be here right now And if someone I do know is watching this, I'm not ashamed, because this isn't coming out with any information you don't know. I'm not... If this were a coming out video, I would be coming out as a woman. What happened to me was a hate crime. So, I'm not talking about what it is about me that people are going to hate. I'm talking about the crime, the hate crime that has already happened to me because of what I am. It took me, one of the first things I had to do, it took me a very long time, was to figure out, why would someone do this to me? I mean, it also took me a while to be like, why would this do this to me? What is it about rape that screws up your mind? And I never quite fully got the answer there, nothing that really can be articulated. That one is a very deep and emotional and powerful. But how someone can do this to another person is by not thinking of them as a person. His whole game, I've been talking about mind games and dealing and under the table shadiness. For him it was a game and I was a trophy. He wanted to put me on his mantle. He wanted to own me. His goal was to break me down, get me away from my boyfriend and my family, make me his own, and have me be his forevermore. He didn't care about what I wanted, or that I could even want, that I could even have a dream. To him, the world was there to serve him. And anyone not going by that was breaking a fundamental law of nature. He had every right to me. He was a particularly fucked up human being. And I think that is also one of the scariest parts about this. He wasn't my only friend. I mean, clearly, I had my friend that went to the police with me. And from the pronouns I've used, you can tell that I tend to make more male friends than female. Not all of them are bad people. This is... I hate it when people are like, all guys are evil, all men. That is just as sexist. That's wrong. Anyway, I'm tangenting. All my friends were shocked. So shocked they really could not accept it. And the one that went to the police with me is the only friend, the only person from that time that still talks to me. Nobody else who knew me before that. My family talks to me, but they talk to me differently. They act kind of like, again, like I came out, and they're like, well, sorry, you little sinner. They actually act like there's something wrong with me. This is not a fundamental part of who I am. This is some crime that someone else that I knew a very long time ago committed. And I am the one who had to deal with the consequences. All of them. I'm the one who cleaned up the whole mess. I'm the one who put myself back together. And I did it entirely alone. Okay, so I lied about it being one take, one go, unedited. Well, I'm still not gonna, I'm just gonna put the two videos together. The camera ran out of juice. Which, yeah, that was silly of me not to do. And it doesn't matter. I wanted to say the last thing. And I wanted to say it with the same honesty that I've been trying to go for this whole time, which is difficult because I had to wait for the camera to juice up, and now it's been a while since I was saying all that, so it's hard to go right back into what I wanted to tell you finally and fully. The whole point of all of this, the whole reason I wanted, if I can survive, if I can come out of it happy and loving myself still, again, going back to the way I was before and the happiness that I had before, going from that level of pain to this level of normality. And if I can do that with no one behind me, no one listening, no one caring, everyone misunderstanding and tearing me down at every chance, if I can do that with that many roadblocks, I think you can too. I sure hope to hell you don't have as many roadblocks as I have had. I hope you don't have to overcome as much as I have had to overcome. I hope that you have someone there for you if you're going through the same thing that I went through something lesser or through something greater. I hope that you have an easier time of it. But even if you don't, it's just your chance to be better than me. It's not a competition, but my point is, I'm nothing special. I'm just a decent human being. If I can do it, you can too. And that's why I don't want to be silent. Everyone tells me that my story is mine and it's personal, and that I should be very careful about who I tell it to and how I share it. But I think that my story is mine and that I get to share it the way I want to, and this is how I want to. I want to shout to the world that happiness after going through something horrible is possible. That you can fight for it. You can struggle through to the end, and there is a light at the end of that tunnel. I fought for 7 years not knowing if there was. And I found it. In fact, everyone told me there wasn't, that I would always suffer from this, that it would always affect me, that I would always be tainted. And there are some people who still act like I am, but I'm not. I'm fine. And I think that you can be too. And I hope that hearing that one person gives you hope that whatever the hell it is that you're facing, you can fight through it too. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I wish I could have said it a little... Anyway, that's all I had to say. Thanks for listening, and if you've got questions, just ask. I'm around.